The opinions expressed are those of the show's host and not the staff or management of Port St. Lucie Broadcasters. Any reproduction without written consent of WSTU and WPSL is strictly prohibited. Now it's time for Quality of Life Radio, brought to you by Cigna. Here are your hosts, Gary Owen and Tom Bouvier.
Hello and a healthy good morning to all of our friends listening in on this beautiful Tuesday morning. And it is the first day of September already. My God, where is the time going? This is your host, Gary Owen, and also co-host
Tom Bouvier.
And you're listening to the Quality of Life radio show. And we're also streaming live. We're on Facebook Live as well. So congratulations to all of you that are listening on Facebook Live and tuning in to WPSL 1590 AM as well as WSTU 1450 AM. And you can catch us on TuneIn on Alexa. We're here to bring relevant content to our listeners to support and showcase our local business owners and provide education and information that will help improve your quality of life. So, Tom, are you ready to get rocking and rolling this morning?
I'm ready. Buckle up, everyone. We're going to have an exciting show. Thank you, Galena, for being our guest. And Gary, take it away.
So, Galena Covell is our guest today. We're happy to have her. And by the way, if you're not connected with us on Facebook, what are you waiting for? Go to Quality of Life Radio Show and follow us. And then that way you can see what's going on. You can see who our upcoming guests are and so forth. So, like us, follow us, and be part of the Quality of Life family, because we will, I promise, enhance and improve your quality of life. And if I don't, tell Tom and he'll take care of it for you. He'll reimburse you.
And when we do improve your quality of life, like everything else, you're going to want to share it. So we certainly appreciate you sharing it. The live stream site, WTSUTV.com, or the radio or Quality of Life radio show on Facebook.
There you go. So, Galena Covell, good morning. Tell us a little bit about why you're in the studio.
Well, because you asked me to.
That's a very good reason why. So tell us a little bit about, first of all, how long you've been here on the Treasure Coast and what you specialize in. What's your claim to fame, Miss Galena?
Okay. Well, we made Stuart our home about 6 years ago. Me and my husband, Rich, we lived in Northern Virginia, where we were running our Medicare and financial planning business, and then decided to be in the warmer and more beautiful weather down here. So we were together, running the business together. But just recently, Rich decided to enjoy the warm Florida in retirement. So I am sort of now by myself running the show, which is great. I enjoy that. As I mentioned, we are Medicare and financial planning company. So with that, we as Medicare licensed agency contracted with multiple companies and have a lot of contracts that we can really suggest to our.
So, Galena, aren't you connected with the top Medicare agency in the state of Florida? You're collaborating and working with?
Absolutely.
Who is
Gary Owens.
What can I tell you, man?
Owen,
I get lucky every once in a while. A blind squirrel finds a nut.
Yeah. Right,
and
exactly.
by the way, Rich is listening in. I know he is. He probably has a whiskey or a bourbon and kicking back, relaxing, and enjoying the show. So, Rich, good morning and good to have you joining us as well.
Good job.
And all of our agents and clients are listening in, and people who are tuning in for the first time, trying to figure out who the hell we are and what we're all about. It's about having fun and enjoying your quality of life and bringing some great ideas to help you to have a great quality of life.
As well as educating people about the different insurance products and the financial planners that we have locally. So, Mr. Covell's a blessed man, but somebody's got to go to work, right?
Exactly. One of us has to do it, and apparently it's not him. So.
we love that Alabama accent.
I am planning on keeping it.
So just to give you some insight on Galena's background, I mean, she is very well versed in financial products and financial planning. She holds the esteemed CFP, the Certified Financial Planner designation. So that is probably what, Galena, less than 5% of insurance advisors in the nation have that qualification.
Yes, the number is growing, and of course, the CFP board has been pushing this program and curriculum
Yes, they are.
for more and more financial advisors to go through this program because it's very, very important to know all the parts of financial planning.
So our listener, I mean, by the way, besides CFP, she's got a laundry list of letters behind her name: CLU, CHFC, she's RICP, and then just completed the NSSA certification, which is what Tom and I are about to finish ourselves. So congratulations on that task, and good
Thank you.
job. So talk to our listeners a little bit about the market volatility, and does it make sense for them to invest in the market? How would you approach them, and what would you tell them if they came to you?
Well, it's of course a very common question, but in the light of financial planning, it's really not easy to answer the question with just one sentence. Here is a set of investments. That's what I recommend you do. Of course, I need to know a lot more about you, about your situation, about your family situation, how much money you already have, what is the target age of your retirement, or what are you earmarking this money for? Is it going to be available for you to liquidate it in 5 years or 25 years, things like that. How old you are, how big is your family, do you need to really support your family while you're growing your investments? So the financial planning, to many people in their mind, it is investments only. But in fact, it incorporates really just the entire financial life picture, beginning with your cash flow, with the need of liquidity for your today's expenses and how it's going to project in the future. If you are still working and accumulating for your future, now what is your biggest asset? Well, your biggest asset is your ability to make money. So if you are not protecting yourself from things like disability or premature death or even long-term care down the road, then of course you now, instead of accumulating, you're subjecting your family to actually liquidating too early and not being prepared for the future. So of course, the conversation about the foundation of your plan in form of, do you have these types of insurance policies that will protect your well-being, not only for yourself as a professional, but for your family?
Protecting that paycheck, right? I mean, that's super important. So many people overlook.
Absolutely. They just don't pay attention to that. So when this foundation is kind of looked at and, of course, insured, then we talk about the future, more pleasant subject. How is my retirement going to look like? And, of course, a lot of people have questions. Well, will Social Security be around, right? There are a lot of skeptics saying that it's going to go bust in a couple of years, and now people will not have any Social Security. Well, there are some things to believe that this will not happen, which I can, of course, address in more details. But in the line of the financial planning process, this goes into conversation in more details. Taxes, a lot of people don't realize that they are really transferring money in the form of taxes unnecessarily. There are a lot of vehicles that they can really defer that taxation until further and really take advantage of accumulation. So the types of investments that your question, kind of going back to that, what type of investment I can recommend today, again, it all is going to be in the line of that total financial plan. And of course, on the top is going to be the legacy planning, especially if you have children or loved ones, or even maybe no children, but you have some favorite charities, if you die without leaving that will, saying what you really want this money to do, the state is going to assume that you just want that to go to their treasury, right? So obviously, those are things that are very important during the financial planning process.
So it's really about having a holistic approach.
Absolutely.
That's
Very,
important.
very holistic and very inclusive of everything, not to leave anything out. And then, of course, being able to answer those questions.
Galena, you said something I've never heard any other financial planner say. You said the biggest asset is what? You.
Mhm, exactly.
Most people would say your biggest asset is your home.
Your home. Or
Your
whatever.
home.
Yeah.
Or something. And I really like that because it's all about the individual, all about the person. It's what we talk about with our insurance planning. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth. We listen, we ask questions, we really find out what's best for them.
Exactly.
So I appreciate
And
that.
what Galena is talking about is disability insurance. So for those of you out there working and you're not protected with that important piece of pie, that you need to make sure that you have disability insurance in play, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Among other things, obviously.
Many things, yes.
Exactly.
So, before I go on break, we got 3 minutes before I go on break. So let's say the biggest question I'd have for you is, what is the earliest age that someone should start considering talking to Miss Galena Covell?
Any age. There is really no age limit. I mean, the younger you are, the better, because then you will be much more prepared for the future. And I have so many people who are in their mid and late 60s who are saying, Galena, we wish we knew you 20 years ago.
Yes, where were you when I was 22,
Exactly.
Galena?
When I still had time to really rebuild my entire plan and really know what I'm doing and really be more prepared for the retirement. So at any age, that would be appropriate to converse.
I tell you, the sooner you get in to talk to Galena about your financial security and building an empire, right? So one day you can retire. And hopefully, if you start earlier, you can retire earlier. Unlike me, who started later in life. Now I have to work later in life. I mean, these are the hard lessons you learn, but don't learn from our hard lessons. I mean, learn from them, but don't make those mistakes that we made. So make sure you start early.
Absolutely.
It's absolutely important.
Absolutely. But it's never too late, really. You know, if you feel that you are retiring tomorrow and you need some organization in your life, just simple as your budget, I can definitely help and kind of sort it all out to make sure that you are not running out of money and resources.
Well, it's a shame to hear the grim statistics of baby boomers today who are retiring at 65. You know, they're getting ready to go on Medicare, and they can't retire because they have zero savings. Galena, what would you say to the 50% or the 48% of Americans out there who are in that situation right now, with a minute to go?
Well, I would say still talk to me, because there are some guaranteed income sources like Social Security, obviously. So you want to make sure that you maximize that to your benefit. And of course, some other options, like perhaps looking at the value of your home and utilizing the built value in your home for yourself as well. So there could be some other things that I can come up with.
All right, so we're going to pick that up when we come back from break. And you are listening to WSTU 1450 AM and WPSL 1590 AM. From Palm Bay to the Palm Beaches, this show is brought to you by Cigna Medicare, and you are listening to the Quality of Life Radio Show, and we'll be right back. And welcome back to the Quality of Life Radio Show. This is your host, Gary Owen, and co-host Tom Bouvier, with special guest Galena Covell. And we have the Owen Insurance Group. We're in downtown Stuart, Florida. So anything that you have questions about, whether it's about the show or whether it's about insurance products, insurance planning, Medicare, life insurance planning, long-term care, disability, we do it all. And you can call our office line at 772-210-1020. Now, Galina also, believe it or not, believes in technology, and she has a telephone. She also has email and a website. So, Galina, if someone wants to get in touch with you because they need you, they need your services. Let me clarify. How would they get a hold of you?
Well, my office phone number is 772-577-3771. Again, 772-577-3771. My email is long, so you want to have your pen and paper to write it down.
Thank God this is being recorded.
It's Galina Koval 0702 at gmail.com. So it's spelled GALINAKOVAL 0702 at gmail.com. And you can also reach me through my website, which is www.livingbenefitsllc.com. So it's livingbenefitsllc.com.
And I highly recommend that if you have questions, you need to invest your money, you need to have a financial plan, need a budget, need advice, give Galina a call. Don't delay. Call her today. Today a good day, Galina?
It's an awesome day.
Okay. So we're going to transition our show, and we're going to talk a little bit about what, Tom?
What you love about living on the Treasure Coast.
Before you do that, before you go to anything else, I want to hear the raw response from our special guest.
Okay.
What she loves.
What she loves.
By living here on the Treasure Coast.
Warm weather.
Warm or hot?
Well, you kind of get
hot.
used to it. I can actually get cold at 84 degrees. So, to me, it's warm.
So you're opposed to cold weather, is what we're saying.
Absolutely.
Northern Virginia can get cold.
I lived a big time of my life above the Arctic Circle, so I know what cold is.
Yeah, so tell everybody where you are from.
Well, originally, you mentioned Alabama accent, right? So, I am originally from Russia, where everybody speaks Alabama. So, and came to the United States 30 years this year, so it's been a long time.
30 years, that's amazing.
Yep. So, but like I said, cold country, and I'm so glad not to be shoveling snow anymore and cleaning the car from snow and ice and things like that.
So can I ask what your favorite vodka is?
If you are looking for Russian names, you should talk to my father about that. He's much better about choosing vodka, but he prefers the Grey Goose. He actually loves that. So
it's amazing. You just mentioned Grey Goose. I just had a little, I was chasing the Grey Goose in my kitchen last night.
Not that
Did you catch it?
It caught me
and
too.
It caught you too. That's what happens.
Well, not that Grey Goose, I guess.
All right, Tom.
Yeah.
So who responded and what did they love about living here on the beautiful Treasure Coast?
Very cool. Just a couple of people responded here, and I appreciate that. Todd said he loves all the beautiful landscape, the water surrounding us, but mostly the people, hardworking, not pretentious, always willing to lend a hand. Tracy Vols, a wonderful friend of ours, said, being near the water feeds my soul. How about that? It feeds her soul. Seeing it daily is my version of meditation, and she loves being close to her parents. And one other here, Raquel, a good friend of mine as well, she said, I love the food. She said, we are not missing anything that South Florida or other big metropolitan areas has except the prices. You can get great food. You need upscale. We have the Gafford, Fernando's, Kyle G's. We have a lot of really nice, wonderful restaurants, and you cannot beat us on the waterfront dining. Now, my personal favorite is the Manatee Bar and Grill, and they have one in Port Salerno and Manatee Pocket, as well as on Seaway Drive on Fort Pierce. So right on the Fort Pierce Inlet, rather, you can sit out on the tiki bar, and from 3 to 6, half-price appetizers and everything. Just watch the boats coming and going, and it's just a wonderful thing. And, of course, all of downtown or the Jetty Park, a lot of great restaurants down there. So the food is great. Just miss the big city prices. So thank you, Raquel, for that.
Yeah, Cafe Martier, a great
Cafe.
spot in downtown Stewart. I ate there Friday night. Kathy and I had dinner there, and great drinks. Nice little speakeasy bar there. It's really cool. It's really hip. And if you've not been to Cafe Martier, go down there and check them out. It's a great place to go. It's all
Absolutely.
downtown Stewart.
Even the boathouse, you can sit in an
Boathouse,
actual
too.
boat right down there
Yeah.
on Sunday afternoons, listen to live music. It's
Just don't take it out
incredible.
in the water.
Yeah, I tried to, but they grabbed me.
All right. So thanks for all those who responded about the Treasure Coast. And I can tell you that living on the Treasure Coast, I mean, having access to the beach, the water, the river, I don't know what it is about the water. It's just soothing and relaxing.
It's magical.
It really is. I mean, you could have a horrific busy day, being stressed. You go to the beach and the waves are lapping on the oh my God, it's just changes your whole being.
I think because 70% of our body's water, and we see that water, and it's just like, hi.
We want to be a fish.
Something like that.
Grow
Something
gills.
metaphysical about it for sure.
No question. All right. So next, we're going to talk a little bit about how we can enhance your quality of life and by talking about critical illness insurance. And Tom and I spent some time and we got some statistics and some prices to give you an idea what just a little bit of money can go a long way. And like most insurance, quite frankly, but most people don't really think about critical illness insurance, Tom.
That's right. Most people think about life insurance when you die. But today, with the medical advances, many of the illnesses and critical illnesses, whether it's cancer, heart attack, strokes, Alzheimer's, loss of a limb or eyesight, kidney failure, etc., many of those people, the majority of those people survive. And a critical illness policy is something that helps focus on your recovery and gives you more peace of mind having some money to be able to recover.
And by the way, 5 million, only 5 million, and there are roughly 333 million people in the United States, but 5 million own a critical illness insurance policy. So if you're asking, what does that cover? I mean, what type of critical illness? We're talking about things like heart attack. We're talking about stroke, cancer, end-stage renal disease, kidney failure, paralysis, major organ transplant, things of that nature. So typically, most people don't realize that 42%, Tom, 42% of all personal bankruptcies are the result of medical expenses. That's a huge number.
That's right. And for all the people who say, well, I've got a nest egg set aside for the rainy day, it'll cover my out-of-pocket deductible for this year. What do you say to someone like that, Gary, who says, well, I've got, enough to cover my deductible?
Well, I would say that number one, you should have different buckets of money. I think our financial advisor would say you should have different buckets of money. And the insurance bucket is something that's going to protect your assets and the money. So I think it's important to have that. And going back to the 42% that file bankruptcy who have a medical expense, 78%, Galena, had health insurance.
Right.
So the majority of people who filed bankruptcy had health insurance. So they think that they have this false sense of security that having health insurance policy is going to pay all those expenses. It doesn't happen. It's not going to happen. If you don't have a critical insurance policy, then you're going to be facing a lot of financial difficulty down the road.
Absolutely, especially if you do have that life insurance with the high deductible. I know a couple who have a $10,000 deductible on their plan. And
Health insurance.
let's say they get sick and have a lot of issues going on in October, November. Well, they have that deductible for this year. And then starting January 1st, what happens?
Exactly.
Uh,
Well, even on
another
Medicare,
$10,000
even those
deductible.
people on Medicare, right?
Right.
I mean, they might have to have the larger expenses because of those maximum out of pockets that accumulate, every month when they have to go through hospital and things like that. So obviously, it can work nicely with any health insurance plan.
Well, you mentioned Medicare. We'll come back to this in a second because this is really important. But Medicare open enrollment begins when, Galena?
October 15th.
October 15th. Do you think, on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is it for people who have Medicare to have a Medicare review every year? 1 being, it's not important at all. Just leave it in the drawer. Don't worry about it. 10 meaning like, oh my God, I need to find out what changes, what plans, what the ANOC means to me this year. Where are you at on that scale from 1 to 10?
I would say 9 to 10.
100% agree with you.
Yep, because obviously, first of all, the situation changes, the health changes. A big portion of many plans is the prescription drug inclusion, right? So co-pays, deductibles will change every year. Also, doctors might leave the networks and come back to networks. So it's important to kind of follow that and see if the doctors are still within the networks. Other features, other plans get introduced. And in our area, for example, next year we'll have a new type of plan that we haven't had before.
That's right.
So that will be necessary to review and see if that might actually be better, more beneficial for people to change. So to a certain extent, the changes are not subject to any pre-existing condition concerns. The reviews are free, and it just only takes a little bit of time to go and analyze what you currently have.
And a little birdie flew into my window this morning and said something about you having webinars.
Yes, I do.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about that real quick, and then we're going to get back on point again.
Sure. Well, the Medicare webinars, we used to provide Medicare seminars in our pre-COVID-19 lives, right? I conducted them in local libraries, but of course, libraries are now closed to the public events. So we had to revamp ourselves, go sort of virtual on the seminars. And now I have live webinars that I will renew sort of. In summertime was dead time for us, but renew beginning September, and of course definitely throughout the open enrollment. So if anybody wants to know more about these live webinars that are strictly educational, they're not sales, we're not talking about companies or specific features, it's just really nice, necessary information for anybody to make the right decision about the Medicare choices. So if you want to know about the schedule and how to register, you can go to www.medicareseminartc.com. So it's Medicare Seminar TC for Treasure Coast.com, and learn more about the webinars and register for one of them.
Beautiful. And how they reach you by phone again is what?
772-577-3771.
There you go. So, Tom, ask me a very important question. How much is critical insurance?
It's got to be expensive, Gary. So how much is critical illness?
Well, if you're buying 2 gallons of milk a week or a tank of gas, then you can afford critical illness insurance.
I'm doing that. I'm not the milk, but the gas.
What about coffee? Are you going to Starbucks and having coffee a couple times a week?
I personally brew my own, since I'm a coffee brew master, but many people do.
Many people do.
Once a day, they could be spending $25, $30 per week just on their coffee.
That's right. Okay. So we're going to show you how you can take a little bit of that, those pennies that you're investing in coffee, God forbid cigarettes, but the other vices that you might have, and channel those to something that's really going to protect your quality of life and your health. I mean, that's really important, because I can tell you that, God forbid, if you ever need it, but when you have access to that cash to use when you need it the most, it's gonna give you that relief that you're gonna need, and focus on recovering and focus on your treatment rather than focusing on your financial devastation.
Exactly. And so, Gary, the way and precisely, some people may be wondering exactly how the steps are. You pay this monthly premium, you get a set amount of cash once there's a first-time diagnosis of this disease, correct?
Correct. But before we get to that, though, can anybody that's listening on our show today, can anybody get a critical illness policy?
Absolutely.
Anybody. Even if they have a pre-existing condition.
Even if they have a pre-existing condition.
If they had cancer in the past or critical illness in the past, could they get it?
It depends on the company, but yes.
It depends on how long ago, too,
and it depends on how long ago, correct.
Yeah, so you want to be healthy and get it when you're young. I mean, because we're going to talk about the difference in premiums when you're 30 versus when you're 60.
Yes, I know.
So, and by the way, just so you know, 3 of you that are listening out of 10, 3 out of 10 will have a critical illness before you turn 65. So before you get that red, white, and blue shiny Medicare card in the mail, 3 of you are going to have a critical illness. Now, my question to you is, what are you going to do about it? Right? How are you going to pay for it? How are you going to pay your bills while you're getting treatment? How are you going to pay your bills and take care of your family and pay your mortgage while you're in the hospital, while you're at the doctor's office getting treatment?
Absolutely. And of course, those who watch a lot of the Marvel movies are saddened by the passing of Chadwick Boseman at 43. And
Such a shame.
he fought that cancer for 4 years. And people say, well, how sad, but also how wonderful. He had 4 years to continue to live and love with his family and those people that love him. And so if that were to happen to any of us, this critical illness policy comes in, 30, 40, 50 grand tax-free comes into your bank account. It gives you the peace of mind to focus on your recovery. And even if it's going to be terminal, it gives you that ability to live your life and love the people that you love for a few more years.
And knowing that heart disease is the leading cause of death in the United States today, one person dies every 37 seconds from a cardiovascular disease. That's about 650,000 people every year. So that means that, Galena, by the end of our show today, 100 people will have died from cardiovascular disease.
Terrible.
So it is terrible. So this is why we are here. This is why I hope that you are here to tune in and listen to see what your options are and how you can implement some of the strategies and the insurance solutions so that we can protect your quality of life. I mean, that's really important. Protecting you, protecting your families. When that dreadful day does come, that you have peace of mind knowing that you're not going to be financially devastated.
Absolutely.
So, Tom, tell us a little bit about the cost of a critical illness policy.
Okay, and I want to just give you the cost. If you are a younger person and somebody out there who, or maybe you have children and you want to advise them to get this,
Tell you what, Tom,
we're gonna
go on break
go on break.
because I know there are people that are watching that take a potty break. I know they don't want to miss us. So, of course, you could take your phone to the bathroom. And, you can always take us with you anywhere you go. But you are listening to WSTU 1450 AM, WPSL 1590 AM. And by the way, you are listening to Gary and Tom. We could call it the Gary and Tom Show, but it's a quality of life radio show brought to you by Cigna Medicare. We'll see you back in just a few minutes. And welcome back to the Quality of Life radio show. This is Gary Owen and co-host Tom Bouvier. We call you the Boo.
The Boo.
So if you see Tom out dancing or swimming in his skivvies, just say, "Hey, there's the Boo, man." So you're listening to the Quality of Life radio show, and we also have our guest is Galina Covell with Living Benefits. So we're talking to you today. The last segment of our show about critical illness, what it encompasses, who can qualify for it, how do you use it, how do you spend the money, and how do you qualify for it? So you were telling me before we went on break, I cut you off, drastically cut you off because someone had to go to the bathroom real quick. And you want to kind of share with the audience about the affordability of critical illness insurance.
As you were saying earlier, the earlier you get this type of insurance product, of course, the lower the monthly premiums. A 30-year-old for $20,000 only pays $19 a month.
What?
Less than $1 a day.
Wow.
What's that? About 75 cents per day. Now, if you're a 40-year-old, let's say you're a 40-year-old and you're married and you want to have a $20,000 coverage, $67 per month. About almost $2 a month. For $3 a month, or a little bit over $3 a month, you get $30,000. $135 per month, $40,000. So $40,000 would replace almost a year's wages for many people in America. And this is tax-free. So if that was taxable money, that would be actually a lot more. So you say, well, I wish I was 30 or 40, Tom, but I'm actually in my 50s. Okay, so I'm 58. So I want to tell people what I have. I have a $20,000 critical illness policy. I pay $70 per month. So that if one of those 10 or so critical illness triggers were to happen to me, heart attack, cancer, stroke, blindness, surgery, bypass surgery, they would immediately stroke me a check for $20,000. And
how much of that do I get?
Well, how much do you want?
Oh, listen, you give me 19, I'll give you.
I'll buy you a really nice bottle of scotch.
Okay.
Would that be okay?
All right, I'll settle that.
Since
I'll
you
settle for
introduced
that.
me to this product. And so I'm so glad I got it. I do feel comfortable because I have an insurance policy and it has a deductible. And so, boom, I'm covered for at least about 3 years of deductible just on a medical. But more important than that, it would give me some peace of mind and a little bit of stress-free for the next 3 to 6 months to focus on my recovery.
And I would mentioned earlier that the number of 650,000 people a year dying from heart cardiovascular disease. But there are back in 2018, there are over 30 million people diagnosed with heart disease, but 12% die. So the other 88% are still alive, Galina, and they need money to live on.
Right, exactly.
Does it make sense to buy a critical illness policy when you know that you have an 88% chance of surviving a heart attack, and now you're going to be at home or convalescent care and taking care of yourself, not have to worry about paying the bills?
Absolutely. Yep.
So on a scale, I love that scale of 1 to 10. On a scale of 1 to 10, Galina, are you a believer of critical illness, or 1, you're not a believer of critical illness?
Well, I would say I'm 11.
No, she's
Me
off
too.
the chart. Yeah.
Right.
We're gonna bring her back in the show more often because she tells me everything I want to hear.
Well, it's important, and speaking about the other insurance policies like disability income and long-term care,
Yes.
those insurance policies are underwritten medically. So if you have certain pre-existing conditions, it's hard to qualify for those, right? So the critical illness could really, if nothing else, could really step in and help somewhat with these situations like we're talking about, these critical illnesses. Because obviously disability could happen due to one of the critical illnesses, right? So that would be a nice sort of either accompany that or replace if you cannot qualify for those other insurance policies.
Absolutely.
So, by the way, if you do have a question and you want to talk to Galina, you don't want to talk to me or Tom, you want to talk to Galina, you can dial into the studio at 772-220-WSTU. That's 772-220-9788. If you have any questions about what we're talking about here today, don't hesitate to call us. men and women. So I want to share some interesting statistics, how different that it affects women versus men. So 26% of women will die within 1 year of a heart attack versus 19% men. In the southern United States, they happen to have the highest cardiovascular death rates of any other state in the country. So, for example, Alabama.
It's that good Southern food.
So
That's
for,
right.
for our my buddy Mike, who's over in Pasco County, who graduated Alabama. Mike, your state is in that list. Mississippi, Arkansas, Louisiana, Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia. So those states have the highest incidence rates of cardiovascular disease, and maybe it's the good living in those states.
Right. Fried food. That's
So they
what it
say a
is.
moment on the lips.
Love that fried food.
You
My
know?
God. What are the risk factors? So having one risk factor increases the odds of getting heart disease. And in 50% of adults have at least one of three major risk factors today. So one of the three major risk factors is high blood
Pressure.
All right, Tom, very good.
Thank you.
You're such a great lip reader. Then
Tough
high
question.
high cholesterol is number 2, and smoking is number 3. Those are the three major risk factors.
Don't smoke.
Don't smoke. You make me choke. Other risk factors include diabetes, obesity, poor diet, not exercising, depression, and excessive alcohol. So I'm going to have to put that goose back in the closet, I guess.
It's very subjective, you know.
Very subjective.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. So those are important risk factors that we have to be focused on. We want to live longer lives and be with our families longer. But listen, there may be people that say, Gary, I love my alcohol, love my cigarettes. Go ahead and get me a policy for $50,000 because I know that day's coming. I'm going to need to use it.
Tell them to up it to 100. I think that's the maximum on these plans, by the way. You can get
Yeah.
up to $100,000.
Some companies have 50,000 max, some have 100,000 max, some have 75,000 max. But it's important that you contact the professionals at Owen Insurance Group at 772-210-1020 so we can get you some information and some counsel and some advice about what you can do. And then we can talk about the premium, your age, and what is it that affects your premium and how you can qualify. So I want to give also, Tom, 6 tips to keep your ticker ticking.
All right.
So that's 6 times fast.
Woohoo.
6 tips to keep your ticker ticking. Have Galina Covell come into your studio more often. Number one.
That will be off the chart. You know.
I love your charts. Okay, number 1, no more than 1 to 2 alcoholic drinks a day. And they're considering a beer, 12-ounce beer as a drink, 5-ounce glass of wine as a drink, and only 1.5 ounce of spirits as a drink. So no more than 1 to 2 drinks a day. Eat a diet that is free of trans fats, low in salt and sugar, low in saturated fats, but high in vegetables, high in
Eat your
fresh
vegetables, Johnny.
foods. Oh, and by the way, women will love this. Dark chocolate.
Absolutely.
Do you like dark?
I love it.
So if you eat now in moderation, if you eat dark chocolate, that will help you to keep away, keep your ticker ticking in tip-top shape. That's such a great alliteration. Moderate exercise. How many minutes a day, Tom, is considered conducive to heart healthy?
I've always heard 30 minutes a day.
Bingo.
Gary.
30 minutes a day, 5 days a week. That is number 3. So I hope you're writing this down. If you're not writing it down, you can replay it and watch us again tonight while you're in bed. Number 4 is limit stress.
How do you do that? Go to the beach.
Go to the beach.
Yeah, see the water.
I need it.
Jog.
I got that. That is probably
exercise,
my
yeah.
number 1 issue right there for myself.
Stress.
Is being able to limit stress. And they say meditate. I don't meditate. I probably need to start meditating. Do you meditate?
No, I don't. But I pull another glass of wine.
Well, I look at your face and I don't see a single line of stress at all.
Well, that's
over there.
what the makeup can do.
Well, I guess I better start pouring that on, caking that on in the morning, and then get
You
plenty
would
of
look good in
sleep.
makeup. Yeah, I'm
Well,
envisioning it now.
Red lipstick. I mean, rouge. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, you might be misunderstood.
Wouldn't be the first time. And then number 5, quit smoking. Gotta quit smoking, man. Put down those cigarettes, toss them out, stop it. If you wanna live
Imagine the
long.
amount of money you could save. You could buy 25 policies for all your family and friends just by stopping smoking.
Or you could buy me a couple bottles of single malt scotch every week by giving up smoking
And
too.
you would only have 1 to 2 glasses a day, right? Yeah.
1.5
1.5
ounces.
ounces.
Yeah. Okay, I'm getting right on that one. And then number 6, work with your doctor to manage your blood pressure, your cholesterol, your diabetes, and your weight. Listen, there's a lot of things doctors can do for us, but there's a lot of things that we can do if we put our minds to it, right? Just getting up in the morning and do your jog or do your walk. Or Tom, you like bike riding as well.
Absolutely.
So I've got to get back on my bike and start riding more often too. So it's again, so many things, the course of the day, life gets in the way. Business gets in the way. Children get in the way. Schoolwork gets in the way. I mean, so many things get in the way of us living a wholesome life. So,
And they say that your health is your greatest wealth,
that's correct.
because you know how many people who have lots of money would trade all that money for another 3 to 5, 10 years of healthy living. So you can protect it now.
And then also stroke. I mean, 140,000 Americans every year die because of stroke. It's every 40 seconds. So right now, today in 2020, there are over 7 million stroke survivors. So, and 2/3 of those stroke survivors have a disability. So there's where really important to have a critical illness policy to help you out with a situation like that. And it's going to happen to all of us eventually, right? Cancer. So that's number 3. Those are the 3 big ones when it comes to critical illness: stroke, heart attack, and cancer. So almost 2 million people every single year are diagnosed with cancer. That is
It's
absolutely
terrible.
horrendous.
I was heard that it's and I'm not sure the exact statistics, 40, like almost 1 in 2 men at one time in their life is going to have cancer, and 1 in 3, my figures might be off, but
1 in 2 men and 1 in 3 women will have cancer in their lifetime.
I mean, if you were to go to go gambling and have those kind of odds, every time you punch the button or pull the lever, you won, but against you for that cancer or stroke, to have something like this
Correct.
cancer policy or this critical illness policy that gives you the peace of mind to help you recover.
I mean, think about it. You're in a restaurant and you see 50 men in a room or in a restaurant, wherever you might be. And you know that half of those men are going to be diagnosed with cancer. So it's important to put these statistics into perspective so you can control your quality of life and not let a critical illness dictate and control you and devastate you financially. It's one thing to get
Absolutely.
through it, because besides physically, Galena, it's also the psychologically issues that you got to deal with.
Absolutely. What's
because of
going
it.
to reduce your stress level? I mean, knowing that you are protected, right?
That's correct.
That's one way. Absolutely.
And breast cancer happens to be the most common cancer diagnosis, of course. Lung cancer is the second most common. And so back in 2016, 4 years ago, there were over 16 million cancer survivors in the United States. So imagine if those 16 million cancer survivors had a cancer insurance policy or a critical illness policy. By the way, you can get a standalone cancer policy if you don't want to invest in a critical illness policy that's more comprehensive. So to give you an idea, for $10,000, which covers most deductibles today in health insurance, if you're a 40 or 44-year-old, $8 a month.
What?
$8 a month.
I'll take 5.
So, I mean, when people say it's too expensive for me, listen,
They just don't know.
It's
Stop
a
it.
matter of priorities.
Mhm.
Stop it. It is a matter of priority. So again, now that you know, what are you going to do about it? So to give you an idea, so if you're a male who's 45 to 49, but you want $30,000, it's $1 a day.
Mhm.
$1 a day. For a female who's 45 to 49, it's $36 a month. So if you had a husband and a wife who were 45 to 49, you added up the two of those premiums at $66 a month. But if you buy a family policy, Tom, that includes the husband and wife and all of your children, that's $51 a month. So they're
Less-
saving $15 a month.
That's amazing. Less than $2 a day.
So kind of gives you an idea the affordability of cancer insurance. Now, listen, if you wait until you're 64 or wait before you get your Medicare card at age 65, you want to buy cancer insurance, you're spending $54 a month. So for $20,000, still not a bad deal. But Tom, can they buy a cancer policy when they turn 65?
They can buy an individual cancer policy as well as an individual heart stroke policy, but
Very few companies.
But once they turn 65, they cannot buy the all-inclusive critical illness policy.
So it's
So,
important,
get
guys
it done
and
before
gals,
65.
yes, that you get your as soon as you can, earlier you can. Obviously, I got my cancer and critical illness policy when I was in my 40s, so it's important that you do it. By the way, what is the cost if you get diagnosed with cancer today? You have health insurance. The average out-of-cost expense, according to AARP, is about $25,000 out-of-pocket costs. So if you've got $25,000 cash sitting in Galina's bank account over there,
Mhm.
then I guess you're okay. But if you don't have $25,000 in cash, then you might need to think about getting, and whether you do or not, you should still have a critical
And
illness
if you want to
policy.
protect that $25,000,
Mhm.
get the policy and you won't have to take it out.
Exactly.
So again, today we want to talk to you. We brought to you the quality of life, how important it is to protect your quality of health, whereby protecting your quality of financial health, your physical health. Thank you, Galina, for being with us on the show today.
My
We
pleasure.
appreciate
Thank
you
you.
joining us. And please share us with your friends, your family, your neighbors. Stay safe, keep healthy, be happy, and enjoy your quality of life. We'll see you here next Tuesday at 10 o'clock in the morning. Take care, everybody. Thank you for watching.
Bye.